Honestly, the fact that we waited, Quinn, till today was super smart because the trade deadline was up, I believe, at 5 o'clock Eastern time today. And there were some moves. There were some good moves here, Quinn. I got the list here. I wouldn't say anything groundbreaking in terms of stars, but some decent depth pieces.
Yeah.
So I'll just go over them and then we'll discuss our opinions. So the Lions traded for rusher Zadarius Smith. The Bengals traded for running back Khalil Herbert. The Cowboys traded for wide receiver Jonathan Mingo. The Ravens traded for a former Steeler, Deontay Johnson, and Tre'Davious White, cornerback. The Commanders traded for Marshawn Lattimore, cornerback, which is probably the biggest move out of all of them.
Yeah.
And my Pittsburgh Steelers traded for wide receiver Mike Williams as well as pass rusher Preston Smith. So I'm going to leave the floor to you to start, Quinn. Any of these moves stand out to you?
Well, I will quick reference a move that already happened. DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs last night, getting 2 touchdowns. That's looking great and scary for everyone. But
you can't just save that, can you?
Nah, I figure I'll mention it first because it already happened. I did hear rumors about the Steelers trading for DK Metcalf, and then that fell through. That would have been great, reuniting Wilson with Metcalf. But I mean, Mike Williams is a good addition. Not quite what I might have hoped, especially if you hear like, oh, we're gonna get DK Metcalf and you get Mike Williams instead. He still did well in Charger land, though, so I think he'll be a good piece, good for Russell Wilson. The Lattimore to the Commies annoys me a bit and worries me a little bit because we played him before and he's a good player, so I don't like seeing him go to a rival. But I guess that's how the Giants felt. But anyway, I think having Herbert as well, Khalil Herbert, go to the Bengals is an interesting move, with Zach Moss just kind of being terrible and now being hurt, and then Chase Brown being fine, but not quite what the Bengals want, and so it'll be interesting to see how he does. But yeah, nothing like spectacular. Some of the edge rushers are interesting with Zadarius Smith moving, and then there's another edge rusher. No,
I believe Preston Smith was the other
Preston
one.
Preston Smith, that's right. 2 Smiths. That's why I'm like, wait a second. Yeah, Zadarius and Preston Smith moving around. But yeah, nothing like knock your socks off. Like you said, Lattimore is probably the most interesting of today.
Well, I was going to say, you're annoyed as an Eagles fan. How do you think I feel, Quinn, Sunday when George Pickens has to go up against him? Now we got to deal with someone else, which is a pain in the ass. The Commanders is already a tough enough game for us. I think all these moves, maybe with the exception of the Jonathan Mingo move, even then, it's kind of like maybe it's a depth spot, but I think most of them make sense. The Zadarius Smith move, I mean, I don't want to say Hutchinson replacement at all because he's not, but he's like taken his place at the edge rush position because Detroit desperately needs him. And their defense is playing good anyway. But I think that's a solid move. Khalil Herbert, take it or leave it. I don't think he's that great of a running back. He's average at best. But since he kind of needs
someone,
with Zach Moss's struggles, I still think it's not going to make that much of a difference. But maybe a goal line threat, maybe. The Deontay Johnson move, I think that happened. That might have happened when we last recorded. But still a pretty good move. I forgot if he did much Sunday because I didn't really see the stats. So. I don't think he did, but I think it's still a decent wide receiver too for the Ravens to have. He's a good slot receiver and a great route runner. He's just got to hold on to that ball when he catches it. He's gotten better at it. Tre'Davious White makes sense. The Ravens always seem to be injured at the secondary, especially the quarterbacks every year, so it's a pretty solid move there, considering how much their secondary struggled. I think after that Browns game, Quinn, they panicked to make a move like this, and I don't blame them. I definitely think the best move was the Lattimore move. I don't know if Lattimore is exactly prime anymore, but he's still decent. I mean, when Mike Evans plays up against him, you put Mike Evans on your bench because Lattimore just owns his ass. But The Commanders secondary also had its struggles. They struggled against the Giants too, so I think that made them realize they got to make a move for something. And maybe while the pass rush isn't, I mean, they were good against the Bears, but while that maybe it might just be an average defense, Lattimore can at least improve it. Finally, my Steelers. Mike Williams is kind of an move to me. It's more for depth than anything. You said like, oh, the DK Metcalf rumors. I gave up on any big rumors receivers to go to Pittsburgh after Ayuk was done. There was stuff like, oh, Cooper Kupp's heading to Pittsburgh and DK Metcalf. It's like, no, they're not going to want to afford it. We're the highest paid defense. Our GM kind of wants to be a little bit have a little cheaper options on offense. Kind of maybe washed guys that they think they could bolster up. My thing with Williams is he just needs to stay healthy. I think he could be a decent wide receiver too. I don't think it's a bad move, but I don't think it's okay. I love the Preston Smith move because I know he's primarily an edge rusher and we don't really need any, but he could go to the inside if he wants. I think because of Cam Hayward being a little bit older, he can't play every snap, so maybe they could put him into spots. I'm kind of confused why Green Bay traded him because he was one of their better rushers. Yeah. I don't know, but we'll take the benefits of it. So yeah, I don't think there was any like what the hell moves. These are kind of just like depth pieces, but good moves overall.